Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I was noticing a lot of variations of blushes and forms, and I was just really curious about it. So I actually did some research for myself to know, and I was really intrigued about the things that I've learned that I thought I would share them with you. So if there's nothing else for me to say, then let's get started. First of all, I want to add a quick disclaimer that what this information that I'm giving to you does not mean you have to use blush in this exact form with that specific skin type and within that specific time of year. All of this is just for your benefit and you can use it as you want. You know, you do you. If things already work well for you, then keep doing that. But if for someone who maybe is not sure about the specific forms and types and everything like that, this may give you a little more information about each of them. So I want to start off first with the liquid form. So I have notes here and I'm really sorry that I'm going to be looking down, just to let you know. But the liquid form of blush, that came a little more recent within the years. The most common one has always been the powder blush, but now we're seeing, like I said, different forms. And so for a liquid form, it tends to give a little more hydration into the skin, and it does give more of a dewy effect. It gives your skin more of a hydration type look. It doesn't give your skin like it's dried out. So the best types of skin types are normal, dry, and mature skin. But you know, for anyone who has really oily skin or combo skin, you can definitely use this too, but it is more suited for that type of skin type. It does take a little longer to set, but it does give you that time to blend. I will also say that you do not need as much of the product as you would for anything else because there's so much pigmentation. So it's something that you will need to use sparingly and then build up to. So this type of formulation does last a little bit longer than other forms, and you can use a brush, a finger, or a sponge to get that kind of look. Something that I kind of use for both to kind of just give it that nice blend out look, as you can tell. So I have it on this side right here. It is a lot more of a pow. That color is a lot more intense, so you don't need as much, and you can use whatever you need to use to blend it out. Like I said, you can use your fingers, a brush, a sponge, what have you. And it does give you that lit from within kind of look and glow. So there's definitely more of a wake up look in your face. It also does come form in a stain. So like I said, depends on which kind of formula that you use and what kind of finish you want. So for example, I use the Milani Kiss Cheeks liquid blush in the shade 140 Rose Romance, and it's a shade that seems to work really well with my skin tone, and it does seem to have more of a matte kind of finish when it dries down. Whereas you can also use a different kind of liquid blush that gives more of a hydration, more dewy kind of finish. Like for example, ColourPop came out with their Cheek Dew Serum Blush, and this one is in the shade Hotline. And this one, like you can tell, is a lot more of a liquid type form. It is something that is more dewy. The pigmentation isn't as intense with this one, whereas the Milani one is a lot more of that pigmentation. So you do want to be a little careful with the type of liquid form that you're using, and I would say start out with just a little and build up so that you can get used to the formulation, so you know what you're looking for and the kind of finish that you want. All right, now moving on now to another form, which is a cream type of blush. And it does give you that nice glowy effect. I actually used it on this side over here. So I'm using different multiple blushes to kind of show you how they look on the skin. And with the cream blush, what's really nice is that I can go directly on your bare skin. And it does work better for drier skin type skins. So if you're someone who, you know, during the winter gets really dehydrated, the skin just looks really dry, and you are trying to give that hydration look, that more awake look, definitely cream is a good way to go. This also does have more pigmentation and is able to stay longer on your skin. It can be blended out again with a brush, sponge, or your fingers. So I actually like to use a brush more so with a cream blush. That's actually something that I've started gravitating towards. For a cream blush, it can be better suited for darker and deeper skin tones. Like I said, you do not have to be in that skin type to use it. Anyone can use it. For cream blushes, they also work better for the winter type. It does not have to be specifically winter, but it can be better suited for that. Because at that time also, again, the skin tends to be a little drier during this time of year. Creams tend to set faster, so you want to work quickly. And with the cream blushes, they can be, in different forms. They can come in palettes, they can come in singles. Like with this, I have here Tower 28 in the shade Magic Hour. And I actually really like this one. I've started gravitating towards this and using this a lot. But it can also come in a stick form. For example, like with ColourPop, their stick blush. I have it in the shade here, Mic Drop. And this one is really bright and really pink. However, when you start blending it out, it can then start to be a little more muted. So it's not as intense and it's a little more of a nicer, more softer shade. So don't be afraid of specific blushes if they seem to be a little more pow and more bright, because that may not look that way on your skin. So don't be afraid to experiment and try different colors. With these kind of with creams, they can also be used in different ways. So for example, this specific Tower 28 blush is you can actually use on your lips. There are other forms too that you can also use on your eyes. Like I said, if it just works with how you want to use the blush and how you want that wake up look on your face. So don't be afraid to try out different stuff. I have not quite used this one specifically on my lips. That doesn't mean though that I can't use it. I haven't done it yet. Now we all know that blushes are like the timeless form that we're all used to. That's something that just has always been around. But like I said, creams and liquids have recently come into play. However, powders are still the dominant form in the makeup industry, and there's nothing wrong with that. What's really cool now with powders is that they come now in different finishes as well. So for example, I have here e.l.f.'s Bite blushes, and I have it here in the shade Watermelon. And this one has more of a satin type finish and more luminous to it. Whereas with this face palette that I have here from Tarte, Cheeky Clay Matte, and in the shade Gimme Blushing, I actually use this one right here. And I put that on top of my cream and liquid blushes right here. So it gave that color more of a pow and more intense look. Whereas this one, as you can see, is more matte. As you can see right here, that's more luminous, and this one is more matte right here. So it just depends on the type, like I said, a finish that you want. Or with this case in e.l.f., they also came out with prime infused blushes, and this is in the shade Always Cheeky. And this one as well tends to also have more of a creamy type finish to it. Just feeling it was just really, really pretty. And let me see here. You're going to notice that it's a lot more intense right there between or next to that one there. And it has more of a creamy type feel to it, but it will set down to a powder. Now with powders, they can come in a single or in a palette in different ranges. As you can see, like a lot of brands have come out with different blush palettes, and that's really cool because then you can kind of blend out and use different ones that you want. I know Waleen's, like I use the butter bronzer one. I use that one a lot, but different brands have been coming out with different palettes. Now with powder ones, the better skin type form is for oily, because then that tends to set and it stays better in place. Again, you do not have to be oily to use it, but it is better suited for that skin type. It gives more of a blur effect, so if you want something just to be seamless, you can do that. It's best to use a brush when using this kind of form of blush, whereas if you try to use a sponge or your finger, it's just not as well. So a brush works better for that type of form of blush. With the powder blush, you can use it more so towards the summer when you tend to be more sweaty, as well as it can be really great for contouring your face. So it gives you that kind of lifted look in your face. It doesn't seem to sag as much. What's great also with powder is that it's not as pigmented, so you can build up to it. Again, if for someone who just isn't sure about how to use blush and where to place it, again, just use a little bit and build up to it. So that's really nice. It's for someone who is a beginner. A couple of cautions for powder is to make sure that you use the powder on top of cream and not underneath it. It will cake up and it won't look as great. Also, for someone who has a textured or mature skin, it tends to more accentuate more of those textured skin type problems or your wrinkles. So I would say to go more towards the cream and or liquid forms versus actually using a powder brush. But if it does work for you and it works really well, then keep using it. So that's the end of this video. I hope it gave you a little more insight about which blushes might be better suited for you and for your skin type. Again, if you're using something that already works well for you, keep using it. You do you. But I hope this gave you a little more insight. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. And I hope you have a great day, great week, great weekend. I love you, take care, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.